Hello, my name is Lene Juul Pedersen, and I will give a short introduction to the webinar, What is a pig? The aim of the webinar is to highlight and show examples of species-specific behaviors and explain why the possibility to perform these behaviors are important for the welfare of the pigs. I will first briefly set the scene for today's webinar by introducing two concepts, species-specific behaviors and behavioral needs. Both are important for animal welfare. So species-specific behaviors are innate behavior that are genetically shaped through evolution. They safeguard basic needs of the animal, so for their own survival as well as for offspring survival. Performing these behaviors and achieving the associated goals are rewarding for the animal. And the behaviors are elicited by hormones or by sensory input from the nervous system, such as vision, smell, or acoustic signals, or through key signals as key stimuli from the environment. So we could conclude that species-specific behavior is rewarding and lead to a positive mental state of the animal. But what are then behavioral needs? Needs that are associated with performing species-specific behaviors and that are controlled by a strong innate motivation. And we could conclude that when the behavior results in the desired goal being met, then it leads to contentment and pleasure, so put the animal into a positive welfare state. Whereas when the behavior does not result in the desired goal, then it leads to frustration, stress, and abnormal behavior, so put the animal into a negative welfare state. The entire webinar contains three topics. The first is on sexual behavior and nest building. The second is on social behavior, communication, and senses. And the third on foraging, resting, and thermoregulation.
Yes, my name is Lene Juul Pedersen, and I'm a professor at Aarhus University in Denmark. And I will give this first presentation of the first topic, which is on reproductive and maternal behavior. So I will start right away with the sexual behavior of the pigs. So they are becoming sexual mature around 6 to 8 months of age, both the females and the males. The females, if they live in nature, they will live in small family groups of related females, whereas the males will live solitary or outside the main group of animals, so he's not associated to the group the most of the time. The females that are within the same group, they tend to synchronize their estrus, so they come into heat within a period of time, but synchronized according to the other females. And they showed when they approached estrus and during the estrus, they showed two types of sexual behavior. So they show what is called the proceptive behavior, which is an appetitive behavior. And that is certain behaviors. So first of all, they get increasingly interested in the male, and they show a lot of searching behavior to locate the male. And the first picture here is from a paddock system, but you will also see that in farm system, where you can see the boar to the right in the picture, and the female standing very close to the boar during this period. And I will show you some graph how dramatic increase that is in this behavior. Other behaviors that the females also show is they get increasingly active during the pre-estrus period and the full estrus. So they do flank nosing on each other, they sniff anogenital region, and they also start mounting each other. These motivations are driven by the hormones, and they tend to imitate the boar's courtship behavior. And if they start these behaviors, they're visible prior to the start of the full estrus. You can see here on this picture here, the intensity of the behavior. So the mounting, the flank nosing, and the boar contact. And you can see here the day of the full estrus, the first day where the female is shown receptive behavior. the behavior peak on that day, but there's a lot of this behavior going on also the day before and the day 1 or 2 days after this period. So the goal of these proceptive behaviors is to attract the male to the female group in time to mate, so that the females can get pregnant. The receptive behavior is what we call consumatory behavior. It's equal to like searching for food and here eating the food. So the receptive behavior is consists of the immobilization stand that you can see on the photos to the right. So the sow will be standing immobile with erect ears and arched back. And during this period, she accepts that the boar is mounting her and also accept that other females are mounting her. And it is during this period that the actual mating can take place. So this behavior is a signal to the boar that the female is now ready to mate. And the function of these two types of behavior is actually to time the behavior with the ovulation. So you could say that the proceptive behavior is there to attract the male to the female groups in time, and it's driven by the hormone estradiol that you can see on the graphic illustration to the right here. And you can see the estro period, the standing estro where the female is receptive, actually start at the end of this period. And you will see some of the behaviors already before that period. So, and the receptive behavior is, as I said, a signal to the male that this is the best time to mate. And this behavior is elicited, you could say, by the pulse increase here in pulse frequency of the hormone, luteinizing hormone, where you see a gradual increase in the pulses that then elicit a big peak of the hormones. And that is where both the standing estrus occur, but also initiate the ovulation process, which take place at the second half part of the estrus. So when these two, the behavior and the ovulation is timed the best possible, it ensures that the semen is present at the time of ovulation, and that will enhance the chance of pregnancy and also enhance the chance of many eggs being fertilized and thus of many offspring. So then I move a step forward. Now the females are pregnant, and they're pregnant for 16 weeks. And a few days prior to that they give birth, they will start nest building. And I will talk a little bit while I show this. I think it's a very fascinating video because this video is taken in a commercial sow herd for organic sows. And it's a traditional Dan-bred sows that are highly prolific. And it has been like genetically modified for many years to give prolific offspring. But here you'll see that they have access to an area with willows and poplar trees. And they do what you could think here, maybe it's just foraging, looking, maybe they also seek shade over there. But you will see that this is a very dedicated behavior, as it is actually now nest building. And this motivation to nest build, it starts with 1 to 2 days before the sow gives birth, that the sow will seek isolation. So they will leave the family groups that they are normally in, and then they will seek up a suitable nest place. And for this video film here, they are on a paddock where they have these small houses they can go into, and they almost always choose to farrow inside this. So here they have selected this as a nest place, and you can now see that she's very dedicated bringing the branches into the nest. And she do a typical behavior there, so both gathering materials, now she's what we call organizing, arranging the materials in the nest. And she will do this behavior for many hours. So they typically start collecting nesting material somewhere between 24 to 12 hours before they actually give birth. And then they will work on the nest for many, many hours. And in a production system, you will see this behavior also, as they are very active during this period. They don't sleep at the night, so they are up and move the nest material if they're present. And if they are on outside on the paddock or in more extensive system, they can walk many kilometers to collect suitable nest materials during this period. They prefer to find a protected nest site. For example, if they didn't have the hut, they would typically lie or build the nest, would probably build it on the edge of the trees there so that they can look over the surrounding, but still being protected by the trees from behind. Before they finish this gathering period or before they start on the parturition, it will be typical that there is a decline up to farrowing in the nesting activities, and this decline is also driven by the hormones that are also responsible for the initiation of the farrowing. So then you will see at the end of this period, the sow will be less and less active, and start at the end, she will dig into the nest and then lie still for the last 1 or 2, 3 hours before she actually starts on the farrowing. So I'll just move on here now. You can see this. She will continue a while with this. But why do the sows nest build? First of all, the nest, when they're outside, the nest is keeping the offspring warm and dry. So this you can see on this small graph here. That's from it's from a semi-natural environment where this column here is showing the average temperature within the nest outside and the minimum temperature during the night. So even though it's very cold, the nest actually helps keeping the offspring warm. And first of all, it also the materials help them dry off during the birth. However, in our production system, the sows give birth in a system like this. And there we will typically see this shows the body temperature of the piglets at the time of birth. I would say a really dramatic decline in their body temperature, and they recover from that after sometimes when they get energy from the colostrum. But you can see on the tree graph here, it's very dependent on the surrounding temperature because they don't have the nest to keep them warm. When the sow then give birth, the piglets are highly matured and mobile at birth. That is what we call precocial animals. They stand and seek the teat right after birth, and there's no assistance from the sow. So the sow lies still on the side, presenting the udder while the piglets are being born and start searching for the udder. Typically, they reach the udder within 10 minutes, and in average, they will suckle within 20 minutes after. Another topic that is very interesting with the pig is the suckling pattern. So they have a very specific and special suckling pattern. So the first 12 to 48 hours after birth, milk will be continuous available in the teats, and the pig will search and suckle and sleep, not in synchrony within the litter. Then they gradually develop into what is an established suckling pattern. And you will see that on the video here while I talk. Here at this period, the availability of milk gradually changed from continuous to a cyclic pattern. And the milk will then be available only for 10 to 20 seconds every 45 to 16 minutes. And you can hear, if you hear the sound, you can hear that cow is grunting. So she will vocally signal the timing of the milk let down by increasing the number of or the grunting frequency. And then the piglets during this period, they gradually establish ownership of a specific teat that they then defend. And when they have this preferred teat, they also start to direct their udder massage to the preferred teat to stimulate milk production. And all this have a biological function. So this prevents the individual piglets to monopolize access to milk. So it ensures that the sow distributes the milk best possible through to all offspring, and also prevent that offspring fight over access to teats when the milk letdown is taking place. So a very important thing here is that they have a stable teat order in place. So therefore, using very prolific sows will challenge this stable teat order and the whole suckling pattern. This is a video of an established suckling. And you can see up here at this time point here, you will see a change in I will just try to locate it here. Unfortunately, if you look at it, there's still massaging a little bit, but at this point here, just in a very few moments, you will see that the piglets are completely still. And that is that in this is an example where this is a very established, this is at the moment here, and it lasts exactly for 15 seconds, and then they will start massaging and contacting the sow's udder. So you can see in a very short moment, then they get a little bit disturbed, they start to massage, and then the suckling is over. So, but how do we keep the sows? We normally keep them confined during lactation in a system like this. And what happens then with the nest building? We know that they are still very motivated to nest build, even though they are confined, and even though we take, like we have them inside. So you can see this behavior being elicited as more restlessness, rooting in the straw if they have it. But if you have straw, it will easily get out of reach, and then the sow will be more restless, pulling in the bars and being more like redirected behaviors. Another thing that we also have problems with when the sows are confined is the teat order. And I will just play these short videos here where you can see that there's very little place to one side, and that makes it difficult for the piglets to access. And even more when the piglets are growing older, it actually can prevent them from getting through the teats, as you can see on this one here. So therefore, pens where if you keep sows and pens for loose sows, then that will allow them more species-specific behaviors. And here's some example of pens for loose house sows. And even more if they have access to pasture, as you saw on my short video with the nest building behavior. Then I'll just have a few slides on the weaning process. So the weaning is gradual. The sow stays in the nest or close to the nest with the piglets for the first 5 to 7 days. The sow only leave the nest, and the sow leave the nest after these days, and then she expects that the pigs can follow, and then she returns to the family group. And weaning are then gradually started with the returning to the group and take place over many weeks, where the sow gradually makes it more and more difficult for piglets to suckle. And finally, you will see like the picture to the right here, where she's actually giving milk while she's standing. So it's very short. They get the milk and no massage. And that is the final step of this weaning process. So the natural weaning age is about 10 to 14 weeks. The weaning and production is very different. So they will wean at 21 to 8 days of age. And they are exposed to many stresses, so they are moved away from the sow. They have to get into new social groups. They may even be transported to a new location, new physical environment, at least to a new barn. So they also meet new pathogens and need to make a transition from milk to solid feed within a very short time. So therefore, we see this high risk of weaning diarrhea and a need for antibiotic during the weaning. And here at the end, I will just show you also what can happen behaviorally. So here they develop typically some abnormal behavior. To the left, you see this belly nosing, which is very typical to see in early weaned piglets. That is then to the right, you see a piglet trying to tail bite another pig, and that is also a period where there's a high risk for tail biting. So this is a very critical event for health and welfare. So I'll just end here and say thank you for listening. And I think I used my time now, so I'll stop sharing.